Welcome back to the 1% Mindset. Today, I want to talk about something that almost everyone says they want, but very few people are actually willing to build, and that is success. Now, if you walk up to almost anyone and ask them a simple question like, "Do you want to be successful?" The answer is almost always yes. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, "You know what, I'd rather stay average." People want a better life, they want financial freedom, they want confidence, they want growth. But here's the interesting part. While many people want the results of success, very few people are willing to live the daily habits that create it. And when you really start studying successful people, you realize something surprising. Success usually isn't built from huge dramatic moments. It's built from small habits, repeated consistently over a long period of time. When people imagine successful individuals, they often picture luxury cars, huge houses, private jets, and glamorous lifestyles. But if you look at the daily routines of many entrepreneurs, creators, and leaders, their days often look very simple. They wake up early, they plan their day, they read, they learn, they exercise, they work on meaningful projects, and they repeat those habits again and again. One habit that often comes up when people talk about success is waking up early. You've probably heard about the idea of the 5 a.m. club. Many high performers start their day before the rest of the world wakes up, and the reason is actually very simple. Early mornings are quiet, there are fewer distractions, no constant notifications, no messages, no chaos. That quiet time gives you space to think clearly, plan your goals, and focus on what actually matters. Now, of course, waking up early sounds amazing in theory, but when the alarm actually goes off in the morning, it suddenly becomes a lot harder. That's when your brain starts negotiating with you. Maybe just 10 more minutes. Maybe success can start tomorrow. And that moment right there is where one of the biggest differences between successful people and everyone else begins to show up. Successful people understand the importance of discipline. Motivation is exciting at the beginning of any journey. When you start something new, motivation feels powerful. You set big goals, you feel energized, and everything feels possible. But motivation is temporary, it fades quickly. Anyone who has ever started a new goal knows exactly what this feels like. Think about going to the gym. The first week feels amazing. New workout clothes, new energy, new goals. But after a few weeks, the excitement fades and suddenly it becomes much harder to show up. That's where discipline becomes more important than motivation. Discipline means doing the thing you said you would do even when you don't feel like doing it. It means continuing to show up even when progress feels slow. It means staying consistent when the excitement disappears. And when you look at people who achieve big things in life, you often find that they don't rely on motivation. Instead, they rely on routines and systems. They remove the need to constantly decide whether they should work, learn, or practice. They simply follow the habits they've built into their daily lives. Another powerful habit successful people share is continuous learning. Many successful entrepreneurs, leaders, and creators spend time every day learning something new. They read books, they study ideas, they listen to podcasts, they explore different fields of knowledge. And the reason they do this is because your level of thinking often determines the level of results you create. If you constantly expose yourself to new ideas, your perspective grows. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Imagine two people who start at the same place in life with the same job and the same opportunities. One person spends their free time scrolling endlessly through social media, consuming random content that doesn't really help them grow. The other person spends 30 minutes each day reading books, learning new skills, or studying ideas that challenge their thinking. After 1 year, those two people will likely be in very different positions. The difference might seem small at first, just 30 minutes a day, but over time, those small differences compound into major changes. And that brings us to an important idea. Small habits create massive long-term effects. Success rarely happens overnight. It's usually the result of consistent actions repeated day after day. If someone goes to the gym once with high motivation, nothing really changes. But if they exercise consistently for a year, the results become obvious. The same principle applies to almost every area of life. Whether it's your health, your career, your mindset, your finances, or your personal growth, progress almost always comes from consistent effort over time. Think about someone who wants to get healthier. If they go to the gym once with a burst of motivation, nothing really changes. But if they show up 3 or 4 times a week for an entire year, the transformation can be incredible. The same idea applies to learning new skills, building a business, improving your mindset, or becoming more confident. Small actions might feel insignificant in the moment, but when those actions are repeated day after day, they start to create momentum, and that momentum slowly turns into real progress. Another important piece of the 1% mindset is the way you think about problems and challenges. Positive thinking is often misunderstood. Some people believe it means pretending that everything is perfect or ignoring difficulties, but that's not what it really means. Positive thinking is about choosing to focus on solutions rather than staying stuck in the problem. Life will always include challenges, setbacks, and unexpected obstacles. Everyone experiences failure at some point. The difference is how people respond when those moments appear. Imagine two people facing the exact same situation. Let's say both of them lose their job unexpectedly. One person might immediately think that everything is ruined. They feel stuck, discouraged, and unsure about what to do next. The other person experiences the same setback, but they approach it with a different mindset. Instead of seeing it as the end of their progress, they see it as a moment to rethink their path. They ask themselves questions like, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "Is there a better opportunity waiting for me somewhere else?" The situation itself is the same, but the way each person thinks about it completely changes the direction they take afterward. People who develop a growth-focused mindset tend to look for opportunities even when things don't go as planned. They experiment with new ideas, they try different approaches, and they continue learning from their experiences. Over time, that willingness to adapt and keep moving forward often leads them to opportunities that others might never even notice. In many cases, the difference between success and stagnation isn't talent or intelligence, but the ability to keep moving forward after setbacks. This idea connects closely with another powerful quality: confidence. Many people believe confidence is something you either have or you don't, almost like a personality trait that people are born with. But in reality, confidence is usually something that develops through experience. Think about the first time you try something that feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable. Maybe it's speaking in front of a group, starting a project, sharing your ideas online, or trying something new that pushes you outside your comfort zone. At the beginning, it often feels awkward. Your mind fills with doubts, your heart might start racing, and you might wonder whether you're capable of doing it well. But something interesting happens when you repeat that experience multiple times. Each time you take action, your brain becomes more familiar with the situation. What once felt intimidating slowly becomes manageable. Eventually, it can even start to feel natural. Confidence grows through experience. It grows through practice, repetition, and the willingness to continue even when things feel uncertain. This is why waiting to feel confident before starting something can hold people back for a long time. Confidence rarely appears before action. Instead, it usually appears after you take the first step. Every time you challenge yourself and step into something new, you gain a little more experience, and with that experience comes a deeper sense of self-belief. Over time, the things that once seemed impossible start to feel achievable. One of the most powerful ideas connected to this mindset is the concept of improving just 1% every day. At first, 1% might sound incredibly small. It might seem too minor to make a real difference. But the real power of small improvements comes from consistency. Imagine becoming just a little bit better each day. Learning something new, refining your skills, improving your habits, and making slightly better decisions than you did yesterday. When those small improvements happen consistently, they begin to compound. Weeks turn into months, and months turn into years. Eventually, the results become remarkable. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to begin where you are, take the next step forward, and keep going. Because every small improvement brings you closer to the life you want to build.